Your Mandarin understanding is running ahead of your speaking, and the gap between the two things is running every real conversation you try to have. That sounds harsh, but if you have ever sat there, fully understood what someone says to you in Mandarin, knew exactly what you want to say back, and then watch the moment close before anything useful come out of your mouth, you know that's not exaggeration. That's just what it feels like. No panic, not forgetting everything. You understood it, and you still couldn't answer it in time. And that's what is this about. So here's what it looks like. Someone asks you, 你今天吃了什么? What did you eat today? And you get it instantly. No translation happening in your head. And the meaning just arrived. But then it's your turn. And suddenly you are assembly something. Do you start with 我? What is the word of noodles again? And do you need a measure word? You had noodles and soup. How do you say that? And hang on, they have already moved on. Or someone says, 你明天有什么计划? What are you doing tomorrow? Clear as anything. But when you go to answer in Mandarin in real time, it doesn't come. You are reaching for pieces that wouldn't lock together fast enough. You know what you want to say, the English version is already here, but the Mandarin version just isn't ready. That's the strange thing. Understanding was quick, effortless, almost. But building the answer, that was something completely different. That difference matters. There's a reason it keeps happening. You see, understanding Chinese is not the same as speaking Chinese. That probably sounds obvious when you say it out loud. But I don't think most people actually feel it two separate things, because they seem so close. You are following the conversation, you are catching the meaning. Surely it means you're already nearly there. But you are not. And that gap between where your understanding is and where your speaking is, that's the thing worth actually looking at. When you understand Chinese, the language is given to you. It arrives. Your job is just to catch the meaning, follow the thread, and the more you have listened, the faster and easier it gets. That improvement is real. But speaking doesn't work like that. When you speak, nothing is handed to you. You have to build it from what's already in you while the conversation is actually happening. You have to find where the sentence starts, which word to reach for, how they go together, and get to the end of it before that moment closes. This is not a harder version of understanding. It's a different task entirely. And here's the thing, getting very good at once doesn't automatically make you better at the other. When you understand, the language is given to you. When you speak, you have to build it yourself. And that's exactly why it's so maddening. Because understanding feels like most of the job. You catch it, you are inside the language. You're not lost. So why isn't speaking just the next thing? It isn't, because they are not sequential. They are not step 1 and 2. They are different things that need different practice. Here's a quick example. You hear, 他上个星期才回来. He's only got back last week. And you know what it means immediately, not effort. But try to produce the same sentence yourself in the middle of a conversation without being given to you. You just slow down. Where does 才 sit? Is 上个星期 or 上周? The understanding happens in a second. The building is slower. And that gap, the specific lack between understanding something and being able to say something equivalent. That's what keeps showing up in real conversation. So this is what ended up happening. You studied, you listen to Mandarin, you watch things, you read, and your understanding genuinely improves. That's real, it counts. But speaking barely moves. Because listening and reading are practicing the receiving side. They are not practicing the building side. And then you get into a real conversation and the gap is right there. You followed everything, you couldn't say much back. You walk away feeling like you were almost there and you were on one side. But on the building side, the in real time side, you are still early. And you have probably been early there for a while without quite knowing why. So this leads to a question worth to sitting with. If understanding and speaking are genuinely different things, and well, actually they are, then what have you actually been practicing? Because most of what we do when we study Mandarin, like listening, reading, reviewing, it's all the receiving side, which matters, but it doesn't close the building gap. It improves something real, just not the thing that keeps breaking down when someone actually waiting for you to speak. That side needs its own practice, and specifically, it needs live practice. Because the building only gets tested when there's a real person, a real moment, and no time to get it perfect in your head first. That's what I've built the Mandarin Speaking Breakthrough Sprint around. It's a 4-week program with live sessions with a small of people who are exactly where you are. They know some Mandarins, they can follow a conversation, but the speaking still won't come fast enough when it matters. It's not for beginners, it's for people who have already put in time and still hitting the specific wall. The point isn't fluency in 4 weeks. The point is getting the building side moving, making your Mandarin more usable, more available, close to the surface. Like less in your head, more out loud. If that's the gap you are working on, the link's in the description. And if you are not ready for that yet, that's fine. But the question is still worth to think about. If the gap is on the building side, what are you doing that actually practicing that? You can leave the comment below. I will see you in the next video.